And that's what we really got to consider. And that's why that I'm in the position I'm in right now. I have to vote no on, according to what I have to do, what people have asked me to do as a city councilman. Now, whether you agree with me or not, that's fine with me. But I have to shoulder that burden. Nobody else, just me. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other council discussion?
Yes, we're dealing with a lot of hypotheticals. Do you all live your life that way, thinking, well, what if this happens tomorrow?
You bet.
I mean, you know, that's what we're saying. So we're gonna sit here and whatever we come up with, it's gonna be the same thing. What if this happens? What if that happens? You have to take some things in good faith, and we have to do something. I don't know who you're talking to, Mike, but the people that are talking to me say we need to do it. I've only gotten one negative comment on it, other than what's in here. People,
Well,
yeah, nobody wants to pay more money.
You
I
have
agree
one
with that.
district, Dick. I have 5. Okay?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
just saying my experience, and I have to vote with what people say to me too.
I understand that. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Okay.
And I respect you for that.
But you know, the reasoning is just hypothetical. What if this happens? What if that happens? We can go on forever with that.
That's part of life. I mean,
Well, that's what I said, but that's what you're using as an excuse to not go forward.
not with this option, no.
Okay.
If I go buy a car, I'm certainly gonna think a hypothetical. What if I break my ankle again? Am I gonna be able to pay for that car? You bet. That's part of life. You don't marry a woman without knowing her finances. That's part of life too.
Any other further council discussion? Is there a motion to approve or pass proposed ordinance number 2018-15 on third and final reading?
So moved.
Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Thank you all. We're going to proceed to the budget. Stick around for a little bit longer.
Sure.
So this is proposed ordinance 2018-11, read by title alone, an ordinance setting the 2019 budget. This is the third and final reading of this ordinance. It is 6:39 p.m. I'll call the public hearing on the budget to order, 6:39. So version A of the budget is what was approved on first and second reading by the common council. This is what was discussed by the majority of the council following the work sessions. We'll get to public comment here in a second. I would like to introduce Amendment 2, which says that this would be amended as follows. Line item 101001351, which is hydrant rental. We would replace the $85,000 to $150,000. The reason for this is twofold. I think in the past we've had a low count of the number of fire.
What number was that?
Amendment 2.
No.
It's on the front page.
Hydrants, right?
Correct. So the reason for this is twofold. I think in the past we've had a low count of the number of fire hydrants, so we've been paying, I think, $85,000 a year for a long time. Except for 1 year where we paid 90, 1 year where we paid 0, and 1 year where we paid 2 times of 85,000, which was 170,000. So we've had a low count. I think, Craig told me Friday we have 185 hydrants, public hydrants within the city. So that's one reason we have a higher count than what we thought. The second reason is because with the rate increase of 42.6%, that also increases the public hydrant fire protection annual charge. There's a piece of paper over there that shows what we were at, but we would be at $809.54. Which brings you to a total of $149,764.90 for 185.
How much again?
$149,764.90.
And that's under Amendment 2.
Correct. I put 150,000 in. It's $200 and some off from the multiplication. Oh, John, do you want to talk about hydrant rental fees and communities?
Sure. The city of Delphi is a water customer. Not only do you have metered accounts, but you also receive fire protection from the water utility. And the way that's covered is on a per hydrant charge. Currently, it's $567.74 per hydrant. It's not unusual in the operations of the water utility. Hydrants are added and removed and such. So one of the things that we do when we come in and do rate studies, we get a current count. We price out that current count by the current charge, the normalized what that revenue would be. And then just like every other customer, they're going to be subject to the same type of rate increase as anybody else who's a customer of the water utility. So in calculating where that where your bill would be based on the number of hydrants in service, priced out at the 43% increase, you're at just under $150,000. So that's why we wanted to make that calculation. You're in the midst of budget season. Instead of having to deal with that with an additional appropriation, next year when you ran out of money, this was an opportune time to take care of it in advance.
We have discussion regarding Amendment 2.
Yeah, I've been here 10 years, that price has jumped up and down and around and everywhere since we've been here. And I thought I had a grasp on it, but now you've confused me a little bit when you say it's like we're like a water customer. Why are we, where does the cost come to the city for the hydrants when we say this, we need 150? What generates that cost to us? Because we don't use our hydrants.
No, very rarely.
We don't have any water.
That's a good question. It's a common question. What that charge is, for that hydrant to be effective, you have to have infrastructure in place that meets the demand when the fire truck pulls up and connects to that hydrant. To have that capacity, you have to have overhead storage, you have to have high service pumps, you've got to have wells that can produce that. There's a cost associated with that. So when the rates were first set by cost of service, it calculated how much the total cost for the running the business would be. By cost of service principles, it carved out how much of that pie is for fire protection. And then it calculated how many users are out there for fire protection, which is both the city and any private businesses that have sprinklers or private hydrants on their property. And it calculates out what that cost would be, and at that time it was $567 or whatever that original number was when the cost of service was.
Then where's that money go to?
It goes into the operating fund of the water utility, just like a metered water usage.
Any other discussion regarding Amendment 2? Any public comment? Amendment 2, switching hydrant rental from $85,000 to $150,000. All right. We're not approving the budget right now, but amendments, I think we passed amendments beforehand before we get to the final budget. So I'd ask for a motion to amend the proposed budget with what is in Amendment 2. So to amend the budget to reflect $150,000 a year as opposed to $85,000 for hydrant rental. This is not the final passage of the budget. This is just amending it before we get to final passage. Is there such a motion?
I move to approve Amendment 2.
Is there a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next amendment that I'm proposing, I don't think I'm going to be as successful as that one, is Amendment 3, and it would amend code enforcer from $25,000 a year to $40,000 a year. 2016, I believe the code enforcement line item was $35,000 a year. What I'm proposing is a full-time code enforcement position I provided a draft job description for this, copied off of one offline, changed a few things. But to do building code, unsafe building code, to do property nuisance codes, and the administrative work involved therewith. I included the unsafe building law to show how much is involved with the unsafe building law. Depending on what type of violation the person has, it could warrant a hearing. There's a ton of administrative work to be done. If the city has to go in and debate the violation, you have to give certain notices, you have to have certain hearings depending on the case. The administrative side of the unsafe building law is incredible. I've also included our weeds ordinance, automobile vehicle ordinance, public nuisance ordinance, unsafe building law. I thought I included the state statute on weeds as well, yes, saying what all needs to be in an ordinance. As well as some research that I found regarding how nuisance properties affect a number of factors. One is the appraisal rate. Found that it's neighboring a property that has tall grass or is otherwise blighted, that the appraisal value they found reduces 5 to 10%. Another one said that when enforcing the broken windows area of policing, which is that having broken windows on a house attracts criminals and attracts deviant behavior, that when addressing that, you see a 20% decrease in the calls for service in that area. Another one says demolishing buildings decreases crime, which we don't have a line item for. Demolishing vacant structures. Another one that I couldn't really believe, they saw a 39% decrease in firearm violence after they abated or remedied abandoned buildings. I believe that was in Philadelphia.
I can understand that.
I mean, that's a significant decrease. I mean, it's surprising that just by remedying abandoned buildings, you see that level of decrease in firearms violence.
That's a fascinating study on that broken window. A couple of universities have done studies on that. It's a fascinating read.
It is, and there's quite a few. I've just looked cursory. I've looked at it before, but I've spent about 2 hours Friday looking at it, and there's a lot of interesting things on it. I mean, how well street lighting is in the area, how many people you have walking. If you have good people walking at night, it actually scares away the criminals and they move to a different area.
Making eye contact.
It is interesting stuff. So I brought it to you in support of an amendment that would increase the code enforcer line item to allow for a full-time code enforcer making $16. $16.75 an hour, which was the highest rate with which a full-time laborer within the city got paid. I think it's a little less than $35,000 a year if you work a full 2,080 hours. And there would be increases to PERF, FICA Med, insurance. But I do believe that the numbers that we have, 250,000, 59,000, 55,000, I believe that should be enough to cover an additional full-time employee making $35,000 a year. We have discussion on proposed amendment 3.
I thought we did that.
I'm
I thought
asking-
we put $2,500 in the code enforcement in the original, when we had the, original
Correct.
budget talks.
He wants to put it back in.
I'm asking you to reconsider. Any further discussion? Is there a motion, and this isn't for the final budget again, this is a motion to amend the proposed budget, a motion to amend the budget in accordance with Amendment 3.
I'll make a motion to ordinance 2018-11, amendment 3.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of amending, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion fails. All right. We'll proceed to the ordinance as amended with the second amendment. So that's the hydrant rental up to $150,000. Everything else within what is on the table over there has stayed the same. Any further discussion from the council? Any discussion from the public? Yes, sir.
Is that, I don't know nothing about hydrant rentals, is that pretty well the same as everybody else getting towns our size?
I have no clue. Some
I thought
towns.
that we hired this guy here to find out.
I think he
think
went
we,
home.
we looked on that survey one time that we used to do with IAC.
That means the water department purchases it, takes care of, maintains, and the city pays for the fact that they're here. And the city uses it.
Well, water pays for it. If a hydrant goes bad for any reason, it has to be replaced, the water department
Right,
pays for it.
they maintain everything.
So we're, yeah, they're total maintenance on it, we do nothing. The general does nothing other than give the water.
So we had to go out and count all these then, right? Because we didn't know sure how many we had even, right?
No, I was off.
For new one, we don't track it anywhere, we just renew it.
In some municipalities, some do it the same way we do, where the general fund reimburses the water utility. Some do it where they bill. It's included, it's not a part of your water bill. It would be like if we had on your water bill, it'd be water, water tax, wastewater, trash, and then there would be a separate line for fire protection. So I believe Florida does bill that way, so it's
I'm almost positive.
it's a
They can do
utility.
this too.
I think so.
It's like $4 a month, $3 a month. So what about the sprinkler system and everything? Those pretty well same for everybody around? We're in the ballpark price wise?
According, when we used to look at those IAC surveys in the past, now we've had a raise in 13 and now we're getting ready to do another one, so it'll be different. But that's only certain individuals receive that. Yeah.
I would guess that's somehow tied to what the overall rate is.
He's taking that, he's taking into consideration in his budget, his rate increase, that this additional revenue would be done.
Correct.
And when you build in this rate increase, you also build in other things that have been there, means you build in some maintenance so we won't have this problem before. Like, I've been involved with council 12 years and I know exactly what Mr. Guy's saying over here. We've done nothing for so long, but there's money in there for maintenance now.
Correct, there's money built into it for increased operations. We're gonna have increased power for a while, we're gonna have increased chemicals, but also planning, and I don't know if it's within this rate increase or the next rate increase, but for water tower maintenance, to build into the budget a tenth of what it costs each year, so that after 10 years, you have the money to rehab your tank.
That's not the problem. The problem is the city uses money for other purposes. That's been the problem over the years. Yes, I've looked at the books and I see it. And we could have a long discussion on that, Mr. Mayor. I call it misrepresentation of funds, you call it just, different opinion where the money needs to be spent.
Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question, just because I know nothing about fire hydrants and stuff. If we have all these hydrants, does that mean all of them actually have water? If you were to need to use it, or are they, some of them, there's actually no water that goes to them, but yet we're still paying for them, or we're only paying for the ones that actually would be used? Does that even make sense?
It kind of
It
makes-
doesn't-
I think all our
Can,
hydrants,
can a hydrant go bad?
yes.
Yeah, if it does, it has to be
And how do
replaced.
you know it goes bad unless?
Because they test it periodically.
Okay. that
They
was-
test it, the
Okay.
water department tests it, and the fire department tests it.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's being granted.
Yeah, you've seen them do it.
So if there's an actual hydrant there, if they need to use that, there's actually gonna be water that comes up and.
For a
usable.
certain period of time. We
Okay.
had a big fire downtown,
Mhm.
can't guarantee that we're gonna be able to
Right.
have water for,
We got in
Right.
trouble
12
when the Curlin, if Craig was here now, he would tell you. When the Curlin building caught on fire,
Yeah.
we ended up with other fire departments in here, but we ended up with hose stretched down in Deer Creek
Right.
because the hydrants couldn't provide,
I
so.
which I,
Seriously, knew
Towers
nothing
dry,
about.
towers dry. So
Towers
that.
drain.
It should be.
My thought is if you got a hydrant by your house and your house catches on fire and there's no water in that and you don't know until you actually go to use it, but,
That's when they
Okay.
flush them every year, you know.
Okay.
Test it.
okay.
Other comments on the budget?
Yeah.
I will go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:56 PM. Council discussion on the budget as amended with Amendment 2. Is there a motion to pass proposed ordinance 2018-11 with Amendment 2?
I move that we pass 2018-11, the 2019 budget on third reading with Amendment 2, but not with Amendment 3.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second to pass proposed ordinance 2018-11 with Amendment 2. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we'll move back to the, oh, I've got second reading on here. It should be the third reading. It's just second reading on the agenda. We have proposed ordinance 2018-12. When I get to it, I will read the title. Read by title only, ordinance establishing salaries for elected officials and appointees of the city of Delphi, Indiana for calendar year 2019. Is there any discussion regarding proposed ordinance 2018-12? Is there a motion to pass on third and final reading?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass proposed ordinance 2018-12 on third and final reading. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Go next to proposed ordinance 2018-13, an ordinance establishing wages for certain employees of the city of Delphi from and after January 1st, 2019. I'll go ahead and withdraw introduction of Amendment 2, as there's no funding within the budget to fund that. Do we have any, what's that?
What amendment?
Amendment 2 of this ordinance, sorry. There was an amendment that included the,
It says Amendment 3.
It's Amendment 2 is the one he's doing now.
right.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I will withdraw that. Is there any discussion regarding proposed ordinance 2018-13? Is there a motion to pass proposed ordinance 2018-13 on third and final reading?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. So I've got on the agenda for tonight, we'll move next to council comments and requests. Starting with President Pro Tem Pearson. Councilman Traeger? Councilman Shockley?
No, other than I want to thank you and Craig and Aaron for the gravel that they hauled today for the community center.
Thanks, Mike, and I know Aaron was gonna be talking to Benedict either tonight or tomorrow morning to try to figure out that schedule so we can get Milestone in on
Yeah,
the right of way.
that's my understanding.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Seward?
I have nothing, thank you.
Councilman Garrison? Nothing. Clerk Treasurer Aldridge?
Yes. Matter of fact, I do tonight.
All right.
I want to address something. At our very last council meeting, towards the very end of the meeting, I watched several people's faces get alarmed because the statement was made. And I want to explain, I'll give you some backbone first. First of all, the question was asked of Umball if what was reported on an audit, which reflects the work of my office, could affect our bond status. And I'm sitting here trying to think what could possibly have been on my audit for 2 years that could affect us. And I'm drawing a blank. And at the time, I think maybe my mayor and my Carolyn, my president, was drawing a blank. But afterwards, I found out what was discussed with him after the meeting, which it wasn't at the meeting, was internal controls. And internal controls is an issue that State Board has been dwelling on, and Dean Gerlach warned me it was coming probably 6 years ago. So we had tightened down and done things ahead of time that wasn't even required. But it is continuing to be a subject, and it should be, because our office is financially responsible, so you don't want money walking. You want to be able to trace money. I think it bothered me because that was thrown out, and without knowing what was being discussed, I looked at the look on your face, it was almost like, what's going on, Leanne? I looked out at the audience, Anita Wehrling, I looked at you had a look on your face was, what could this possibly be? What it amounts to, it's called internal controls, and it's you implementing procedures to make your office as safe as you can. If I have an office with 10 or 15 women, that is so much easier to do per state board standards than what I have. But I do it the best we can do with the people we have employed. The other thing that I guess bothered me, and maybe we should be a little more explicit after we've had audits, it was a good audit. But when you throw something out that, and I'm not picking on you, Dale, but when you throw something out at a meeting like that and leave it like that, for anyone else that's listening, the thought is that I've done something wrong.
I apologize.
It's done.
I understand what you're saying.
It's
I
done.
apologize.
It's out there. Now I should explain something else to you. Our state board, when they come in here, when they're done, they're audited by their supervisors. Their supervisors look over everything that they have looked over of our work in my office. Then their supervisor approves their report. Our president of the council is required. It's not a state code, it is our state board officers. They require that our president of our council is there. So they're not coming in and giving me an audit. They're not coming in and telling me something and then no one else knows and I give you a report. Not only that, it's a published form. Our mayor is, what do I want to say? He is not a demand performance, but he is invited by state board to attend this. So I have two people hearing what the comments that are said about our office. But our audit per se was an extremely good audit. And it was a 2-year, and 1 year was a federal audit. So it was a hard audit, but we were good. I can show you records down there of very poor audits that this city went through,
I'm sure.
where state board was close to coming in and taking this place over. We've never been remotely close to that. Now, the other thing you need to understand is those audits are ongoing, and it's public records. You can get online. You had a report the other night. I don't understand this. You have come to my office and you've asked me for reports.
Mhm.
I've given it to you.
Yes, ma'am.
There's been times you can fill out a letter and sign it, so it was official, and I keep it. But I've given it to you. She didn't come to my office and ask me about internal.
You know why?
You didn't do it.
You know why? Because it wasn't about you. It was about the bond. And
But
I
it
asked the
was
question
whether
because of the
or
law.
not,
Hmm?
whether or not what my office with internal controls would affect it.
Yep.
So you could have come to me. Second of all, you have served on the council long enough to know that this woman has to attend that audit.
And she told
She
me
has
she
to
did.
sign off on it. So you could have also went to her.
It was a question about the bond. It wasn't a
Uh,
matter
I-
of you.
I understand that's what you're saying, but from my position, you as a councilman should have come to me first or two.
I never in the world would think you could answer that question, because that was a financial borrowing question. That wasn't anything to do with
My
with your
internal controls
office.
has nothing to do with the bond.
And that's what he told me.
But he didn't tell that publicly.
Well, I can't control what he says, but
Okay. The other thing I would say that anyone that is ever interested, there's never a time that you might get a not real pleasant look if you come in and ask me for something, because if I'm busy, I'm busy. But there is never a time that anyone could ever say to you that I refused anyone any information. I may not do it that day or that minute, but it's there at my office. That's it.
Thank you, Clerk Treasurer. Move next to public comment.
I would just like to say one thing, if nobody has public comment. Many times, we don't understand what the State Board of Accounts looks at, and, I mean, it is a pricey thing that we have to pay to have them come. I mean, it's a lot. It's, we don't even know exactly how much it is, because they take it out of our tax draw, right?
Yes, we get a bill for water and waste, and then they take our money out of our taxes. We don't even get it. I don't even get a statement to let me know what they took out of our taxes.
I mean, it
They
is
just take it.
extensive, this audit. They look at everything, and it's, you know, when she gets a good report, which I know she responds to all their questions, but, you know, there's things that she could not be aware of that they're going to ask, and, you know, she, it made me proud to think that we have consistently provided everything that they wanted and passed with flying colors. I mean, that internal audit thing, when, I mean, she didn't mention this, but when we have 3 people down there, it means one of them has to read the figures and the other one checks the figures. I mean, it's to make sure that nobody is doing anything
Changing
amiss
the
with
financial
figures.
records. Which, here's the funny part. We have a lady, we have a website that we can go to, clerk treasurers constantly. So we have a clerk treasurer for a small city. She's the only employee in that office. The only employee. She got wrote up this year from State Board for Internal Controls, because she has no one to check her work. So, there you go.
Gotta write her up for that.
Yeah.
It's tough with 2 people, you know, I'm an old accountant, and they have controls, you know, which means somebody takes the money in, somebody else
That's
checks
right.
it, puts a bank deposit. When you only have 2 people in the whole office, that's what's tough. You do the best you can. But bigger offices, you can delegate all that,
Oh,
with
yeah.
no problem, you know, so. It's
No,
something they
I was-
have to do, they're gonna find it, you know.
Yeah.
Now, when I was in, earlier to pay the water bill, have you hired a 3rd one? I noticed
Sure did.
Good.
Sure did. She's a local gal, Tanya. She's had some bookkeeping background, but I kind of thought maybe this time we'd go someone without a strong bookkeeping background and we could teach her our way, and maybe we wouldn't, the help wouldn't butt heads on techniques and ways to do it. So I have a billing clerk down there that's been with us 20 years, and then I have this girl. So sometimes there's a difference of opinion. So maybe